So this is new, the whole me talking to you thing, but I promise that the videos I've been posting won't change. They'll just be the same, but I'm trying out this, and it'll be an addition if I continue to do it, which depends on how I feel after listening to this back a million times while editing. But I want to kind of go over what I was thinking as I was doing this, and what I was going for. And so the big kind of goal of this entire drawing process was that last week I did a drawing in a new style, and I thought it was very cute, and I wanted to do that style again. And if you're me, the first challenge of doing that is, okay, what does it look from the side? What does it look from, 3/4 view, which is what I'm testing out here. Especially I was wondering how the nose would look, because it's a softer nose style than I usually do when I do kind of more cartoony or anime kind of inspired or inflected styles. So I was trying to maintain that softness in her features, but I wanted to do different eyes because the eyes last time were a lot rounder, and I wanted to see what this very round, cutesy style would look like with maybe a character that would have slightly sharper eyes. And then I also changed in the future. Surprise! I also changed some of how I render stuff. Because I'm just trying to be the best I can be. So now I'm basically inking it because, you kind of have to at some point. Not always, but with this, it's definitely a requirement. It's part of the style. I've signed on for this. This took me 7 hours. I'm way too slow at line art. I shouldn't have signed myself up for this, but I've done it. And I like how it looks, so I'm stuck with it. But I kind of love this kind of her outfit. It's like somewhere between like a hoodie and something really fancy, and I'm for it. It's the off the shoulder, like almost off the shoulder for me. I really love that. And here I am kind of slightly tweaking the mouth so that it looks more like it's facing forward. That's something I struggle with all the time with mouths at 3/4 views. But here I'm kind of making decisions. I had more of a button nose, and I decided against it, and I kind of filled that in by left it a little bit. And then I gave her more straight brows because I felt it looked better with her eyes. And now I'm delaying the eyes because they're always a challenge. And I'm kind of just swooping in the hair. There's a fun thing that's going to happen, and it's going to happen when I start working on the eye, because you can see I do it sometimes where I'll zoom in and then I'll zoom back out, and it's not too bad, and that's just how I kind of get perspective and make sure I'm on the right track and that it looks fine from a distance, because a lot of times when you zoom in way too far, or you're like hunched over an artwork, you lose perspective on it, and it looks weird when you like look at it from the distance it's supposed to be looked at. So I do that a lot, and I did it so much when I was doing the eyes that I have actually edited a lot of them out, and it took many hours because I'm bad at editing. But in addition, I also eventually I had to just give up, and the whole eye line art section that we're going through right now, I actually had to put it at 50% speed. So we have entered a time warp. It is a different time than the rest of it, because the rest of it's all, of course, proportionate. It's much shorter, but it's proportionate to the amount of time I took on it. But the eye line art, I did it way faster than this in comparison to the time. But I want people to be able to watch it without dying. I want them to like it. So it's slower, and I'm frustrated with it because it took me a lot of time, and then in the end I slowed it down anyway. So why did I try so bad? But that's how it worked out. And I'm gonna adjust these eyelashes in a second, because I zoomed out like I should, and looked at it, and they didn't match the other side. They were fine eyelashes, but they didn't match the other side, so I had to kind of bring them together. And I've been doing this recently where I flatten with a solid color, so I make sure I don't miss coloring in her hand or something, and then it's just transparent. That's really what this is about. but I really should just like do an outline and then do the fill bucket, like fill tool. I don't know why I drew it in. I never remember that. I never remember the tools that would make it easier for me until it's already too late. The reason I actually drew over that and then erased around it was not because I was stupid and forgetting tools. That was because I tend to add some transparency to the hair liner at the end, and I was worried that little hair swoop would be lost, so I wanted to make sure I got the internal color to go there. And also, what I'm kind of doing is, it's like a chest up almost, like kind of elbows up actually, and there's no lower body, and it's not at the edge of the canvas, so I was very concerned with my background about making sure that she didn't look awkward hovering there, and kind of adding visual interest, but like not a real space, because you can't just be in a study and not have a lower body. It would be so many questions. So I was just kind of making it visually interesting, but not questionable. And now you see me kind of struggling to figure out what color I want her hoodie thing, and her earring. And here, of course, I knew I wanted her to have purple hair in some way, shape, or form. Oh, God. That was me having things on the wrong layer. A quick fix for that is that you can actually kind of duplicate the layer and then just erase the part that you don't want on each layer. Like hide the other layer and then erase that part. And then hide the layer you just erased and do the other one. Which is a little annoying, but I didn't lose progress. It just slowed me down a little bit. And I'm doing a really super obnoxious purple, and because I wasn't sure what color I wanted her to be, but I kind of added blue, which softened it because I had other blues, in the composition and all that. So I actually added a very bright blue near the roots, because I didn't want it to be too much of a gradient. I wanted kind of visual interest. I didn't want it to just be two colors. And here I'm just kind of zooming in way too close and coloring, or rather shading. This is, I think I did all on multiply layers with this one, or most, not all, because I found that it's a lot of time, rather than drop tool, I find it easier just to erase stuff. So that's something I do a lot. I find that easier. You can see me kind of go back between that and occasionally kind of zooming in. And I find also you can lock the layer and then darken areas of the shadow that you've already put down. So I'm using 2 multiply layers on this skin. I did a very rough soft pass and just with like a airbrush tool, and then I'm going back on a different multiply layer to do more of the details. And I just find that I did that because obviously I wanted to continue to erase things, and it would be difficult if I had already done soft shading. So I'm kind of just going through and adding kind of where I think shadow would go, and very important that I kind of indicate how her shoulder is going because it's coming towards us. And with just the line art, sometimes you can miss that detail. And I'm using, especially the 2 multiply layers to really add depth to the finger that's farther away from us, because I was worried that it was kind of overlapping in the finger that was close to us in a weird way. And here's the 3rd skin shading layer, not counting the skin base layer, which is the blush, because I really like a lot of blush. I think it's cute. And I'm doing the eyes an entirely different way than I did the last time, because I didn't like how they weren't that shiny. I felt like they needed to be shinier. So I'm kind of adding like a little reflection at the top and all that. All that nonsense that has nothing to do with real eyes, but it looks good, And here I'm kind of just kind of blocking in the shadow, and then just really neatly blending it back and then erasing areas to give it more, kind of a hair texture. I forgot a word in there. But make it look more like hair. So I'm erasing, I'm not adding highlights. And then I'm going back in a separate multiply layer and adding kind of more detail, because I find that sometimes when you do that and just like separate where the light is hitting, you can lose kind of make it more difficult to see the volume of the hair and like how strands are overlapping. So I'm kind of defining the structure of the hair within those shadowy areas. And now, this is another change I made from last week, which is that I decided the hair wasn't shiny enough. I want it to be shinier. Because shiny things are cute. I don't know what to tell you. So I kind of just airbrushed it in and then used the round brush, I think, to erase out and softly on a low opacity erase the areas farther from the light and put it on an add layer, I think is what I did. I was initially thinking it was being on screen, but that didn't look as good. So here I'm changing all the line colors. I've done this, I only did this last week, this is new, but I find that it's really helpful to sometimes even add multiple line colors to like just the skin. So I had a lighter skin tone line color and a darker one. And of course I actually like to erase part of the hair, like loosely, not all the way. So I kind of have a big brush over that I erase out with. And I do that to the line art of the hair too, which is why I've kept it on a separate layer this entire time. I just find that really helpful and making it look like hair, not a block. So here's the finished product. Yeah, if you hated listening to me, you can stop.